You slam the blue tuck G tile onto the red one, and it flips with a satisfying smack. The man across from you hesitates, his pride visibly crumbling as he reaches into his pocket. He hands over the cash, and you slide a mysterious card towards him with a practiced smile. Another recruit, another soul bound for the games. At first glance, being a recruiter for Squid Game seems like a sweet gig. You're sharp, charismatic, and always one step ahead. But beneath the surface, it's a nightmare job that eats away at your humanity one recruit at a time. And let's be honest, Tok G isn't exactly a transferable skill when all this goes south. Your life revolves around manipulation. You're not just playing Tok G, you're playing with people's lives. Every interaction is a calculated move to lure someone into the games. You prey on desperation, spotting people who are drowning in debt or crushed by life's weights. And you offer them a lifeline, except it's tied to an anchor that drags them straight to hell. The worst part? You're good at it. Too good. You've mastered the art of reading people, saying exactly what they need to hear to take that card. And every time they do, you feel a pang of guilt that you bury deep down because there's no room for emotions in this line of work. Emotions are for people who don't have to convince single mums to risk their lives for cash prizes. But guilt isn't something that you can ignore forever. It builds up like pressure in a boiler until it starts to crack you from the inside out. You tell yourself it's just a job, that these people made their own choices. But then you see their faces on the surveillance monitors during the games. You watch them break down during red light, green light, or crumble under the weight of betrayal in the marble game, and you know that you put them there. You try not to think about it, but their screams echo in your head long after the games are over. Every recruit becomes another ghost haunting your already fragile conscience. And no amount of Tok G practice can slap those memories away. And let's not forget who you're working for. The frontman doesn't care about your feelings or your moral dilemmas. To him, you're just another tool, a means to an end. He expects results, and if you don't deliver, well, let's just say there are worse fates than being fired in this organization. Spoiler, they don't hand out severance packages here. You're constantly walking on eggshells, knowing that one mistake could land you in the very games you've been recruiting for, or worse, make you disappear entirely. The organization doesn't tolerate failure, and they definitely don't tolerate disobedience. They don't even tolerate sneezing too loudly in their pristine offices. Trust me, someone tried. But it's not just the fear that keeps you trapped, it's the system itself. The organization has its claws so deep in you that escape feels impossible. They know everything about you, where you live, who you talk to, what you think about late at night when the guilt keeps you awake. Even if you wanted to run, where would you go? They'd find you before you even made it out of the city, and probably charge your family for the trouble. Over time, something inside you starts to rot. Watching people suffer and die because of your actions changes you in ways you can't even put into words. At first, it's just a job, a way to survive, but eventually it becomes something much darker. You start feeling like a cog in a machine that grinds people into dust, and no matter how much guilt or regret builds up inside you, there's no way out. You hate yourself for what you've become, a predator disguised as a savior, a liar who pretends to offer hope but delivers despair instead. And then there's loneliness, the crushing isolation of knowing that no one else understands what you're going through because no one else really knows what you're involved in. Even if they did know, who would care? To everyone else, you're just another suit handing out cards on a subway platform. You're hardly Dwayne Johnson. The truth is, being a recruiter isn't freedom. It's just another kind of prison. A prison where every day is a battle between survival and morality, a struggle to hold onto whatever scraps of humanity you have left while being forced to destroy others. And at this point, even prison food sounds better than whatever existential slop they're feeding you here. Speaking of uniquely horrifying, this job forces you to see humanity from its darkest angles, both theirs and yours. When players enter the games after accepting your card, they're stripped down to their most primal instincts, survival at any cost. They betray friends without hesitation, they sacrifice others without remorse. They turn into monsters because that's what the system demands of them. And as their recruiter, you're complicit in every betrayal, every death, because none of this would have happened without your involvement. You start seeing patterns, recognizing types of recruits before they even speak to you. The desperate parent willing to risk everything for their child's future. The gambler who thinks they can beat the impossible odds. The broken soul who has nothing else left to lose. Each type comes with its own set of trajectories, and each one leaves its mark on your already battered conscience. But here's where things get truly unbearable. Sometimes they win, but most times they lose. And when they lose, their blood is on your hands. And then comes him, player 456, the winner of it all. The man who somehow survived every twisted game thrown his way and walked away with that blood money weighing down on him like chains. You meet him again under very different circumstances, this time not as a recruiter and recruit, but as equals, or so they tell you. The frontman calls it a test, a final game designed to ensure loyalty, or weed out weakness once and for all. Russian roulette. You sit across from player 456 at a cold metal table in an empty room lit by a single flickering bulb overhead. Between the two of you lies a revolver with one bullet chambered inside. The rules are simple. Take turns pulling the trigger until only one of you is left standing. 456 stares at you with eyes hollowed out by everything he's endured. Eyes that have seen too much death but still burn with defiance. Your hands tremble as they reach for the gun, not because you're afraid of dying, but because you're afraid of what living means if this is what life has become. The cold metal feels heavier than it should as you lift it to your temple and squeeze the trigger. Nothing happens. You slide it across the table toward him without meeting his gaze. He picks it up with steady hands, steadier than yours, and presses it against his head before pulling the trigger. Another empty chamber. Back and forth it goes, a deadly rhythm punctuated by silence until, finally,